Today, we're diving into a really powerful story about one of our most vital natural resources, and it all kicks off in the farmlands of southern India.
This is really a story about survival and ingenuity. It's about how one single resource, water, can literally separate a community that's thriving from one that's just on the brink of collapse.
All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to head to two villages right next door to each other in Telangana, India. Now, even though they share a border, their stories, they couldn't be more different. And the whole thing comes down to one thing: their access to the water right under their feet, groundwater. And wow, the difference is it's night and day. On one side, you've got Wanaparthi, which has this huge advantage with irrigation. We're talking more watered land, lower cost to farm. But then, right next door, you've got Vadacharla, struggling with dryland farming. I mean, think about it. Same region, same crops, but their day-to-day reality, completely different.
Okay, so let's dig into what happens next. What happens when this supercritical resource starts to get scarce? We're going to zoom in on the huge challenges the farmers in Vadacharla started facing when their wells began to dry up.
It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it has some pretty profound consequences. I mean, what does it really mean for a farmer? Their entire livelihood is tied to that land. So what happens when the water that keeps it alive just vanishes?
Get this. In just a few years, the average water level across the whole state dropped by 3 meters. 3 meters! All those years of just tapping into the groundwater without a second thought, it was all starting to catch up. And the consequences? They were becoming alarmingly real, fast.
And look, this wasn't just some small inconvenience. This was a full-blown financial crisis in the making. For the farmers, with just a small plot of land, every time they drilled a new well and came up empty, that was more debt. It was pushing them closer and closer to losing absolutely everything.
And this is where you can really see the economic hit. It's just undeniable. Take paddy rice, the exact same crop. The farmers in water-rich Wanaparthi were earning way more per acre. It's just such a stark picture, isn't it? Prosperity on one side, hardship on the other, and the only thing separating them is water.
But here's the thing. This is not a story about defeat, not even close. This is actually where the whole story flips. It becomes this incredible tale of innovation, where these communities, staring a crisis right in the face, decided, nope, we're going to do something about this, and they started engineering their own solutions, right from the ground up.
So the first big push came from the community pulling together. What did they do? They built dams, they dug these things called percolation pits, basically simple, pretty cheap structures. But they were all designed to do one super important job: catch the rainwater before it runs off. They wanted it to soak back into the ground to recharge those aquifers and, you guessed it, their wells.
And then it got even more personal. Individual farmers started using these really smart techniques on their own land. We're talking building these little walls or bunds that follow the curves of the land to trap water. They used special furrows to keep the soil moist. They even planted things like Glycidia. It's a legume that's great for the soil. It was basically a grassroots revolution in farming.
And the payoff? Oh, it was real. And it was fast. This wasn't some abstract theory. The farmers who used these new methods, they literally saw their harvests get bigger. We're talking 250 kilos more red gram, 50 kilos more maize per hectare. So see, it wasn't just about saving water. It was about creating more food, more income, and really securing their own futures.
Okay, so let's pull back a bit and look at the bigger picture here. Because this incredible story from Telangana, it's actually part of a much larger and way older tradition of managing resources. It's a philosophy that has really deep roots in India.
I mean, this idea that conservation is almost a sacred duty. You can see it perfectly in the story of the Bishnoi community. We're talking centuries ago. They made the ultimate sacrifice, literally giving their lives to protect the trees in their forest. It's such a powerful reminder that this struggle to protect our planet, it's a deeply human story.
And that ancient spirit is captured perfectly in a modern idea we talk about all the time: sustainable development. It sounds complicated, but it's really a simple, powerful idea. We've got to find ways to make progress today that don't end up robbing future generations. It's all about finding that balance. So when you boil it all down, this story from two small villages in India, it's really a universal story, isn't it? It's about what we all share, the planet's resources. And it's about the shared responsibility we all have to take care of them.
And it doesn't matter if we're talking about water or energy, our appetite for natural resources is just huge. I mean, just look at this chart of India's energy use. You can see how much a modern economy depends on sources that will run out, like coal and oil. The pressure we're putting on the planet, it's undeniable.
There's this really powerful quote from former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi that just sums it all up perfectly. She taught that all life, human, animal, plant, it's all so interconnected that when you disturb one part, you create an imbalance everywhere else. And that's the key takeaway, right? We aren't separate from our environment. We are part of it. Our very survival is tied to the health of the planet.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. The story of Vadi Charla proves that real change is possible. Remember, it started small. One dam, one field, one farmer. So just imagine, what could a whole city, a state, or even a nation accomplish if we all decided to manage our resources that wisely? The potential is just enormous.